211. I think we've just had a question and answer period about jopam and meditations, which you may remember from last week. I wasn't here. So, the literary beauties of the Vedas. The domain of poetry is vast and wide. In its widest sense, it includes everything in this world, every expression in the sentient and insentient universe. The minutest atoms obeying the law of chemical affinity, the huge solar systems obeying the laws of gravitation, the all-embracing minds of human beings obeying the laws of love. The highest manifestation of the same force, which expresses itself in the laws of chemical affinity and gravitation, all are expressing or trying to express what is within. And this manifestation of nature, as the universe, is poetry. What is nature? What is the universe? The breathing out of the infinite being, the expression of the ocean of absolute love, as the Vedas say, the expression or word of God, as the Bible says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word was made flesh. Do you want to find the root of poetry? You will find it in the absolute love, which is the essence of the deity, because the expression of that unbounded love is poetry. You cannot separate the word of God from God, the expression or manifestation from the deity, the poetry from the infinite love. The rishis, the seers of the Vedas, told the truth and showed their just appreciation of poetry when they addressed God as the first and foremost poet, the oldest of all poets, who never grows old. He is the poet whose writing is this wonderful universe, the expression of whose unbounded love is the limited love and beauty of this world, in whose poem the rhythm is kept by the sun, the moon, and the stars, whose music is the music of the spheres. The condensation of the nebulous matter into this formulated world of mountains touching the skies and seas of unfathomable beds, the development of a tiny seed into a blade of grass or a stately tree, of a child into a man or woman, of the gross attraction of the flesh into sweet love for love's sake. These are not only full of poetry, but are poetry in the widest sense. Blessed are they who can see poetry in everything and everywhere, for they alone have eternal peace and beatitude. They alone attain prophetic vision, seeing the ever-beautiful present in the heart of everything, the unbounded love behind every mask and form. Thus, every real poet is a prophet, and every real prophet is a poet. In a limited sense, poetry seeks to analyze that essential faculty of human nature, the essence of the beautiful. It is the expression of human emotions. Every sentiment, every idea that touches the human heart and sends a thrill into it through devotion or love, through awe or reverence or fear, through heart-rending separation or the great joy of desire fulfilled after struggle and difficulty. The expression of every one of these emotions in human language is what is known to us as poetry. A genuine revelation of the human heart appeals to people of all ages, however much they may be separated by time or space, racial, national, or 1,000 other prejudices. That is why the Vedas appeal to us as genuine poetry, although written thousands of years ago in a tongue which is now almost forgotten. That is why Kalidas's Shakuntala and Shakespeare's Hamlet will be appreciated as long as language will last. Although widely separated, we are human beings, and the same actions still give rise to the same emotions in all of us, even when we express our feelings differently. Expressions may vary, but the essence will always remain the same. The same terms of endearment that the lover whispers into the ears of the beloved on the banks of the Ganga or that Jamuna, whispered during the time of Kalidasa, hundreds of years ago, were used by the lover on the side of the Thames when Shakespeare wrote, and the same things were repeated in our own time. The same fullness of reverence and of awe, and of the love that made the Vedic seer thirst after God and helped him to rise to the unclouded vision of the superconscious, we also find in the lives of the seers of other nations and other scriptures. In our hopes and joys, our fears and sorrows, our thirsts and fulfillments, we feel and think and act alike. We are one with one another, one with the universe. Therefore, shake off all prejudices. Let us enjoy the genuine expression of the human heart, wherever we may find it, in whatever nation or clime. Let us seek the essence of everything with reverence. Let us see and feel the presence of the beautiful. Let us listen for a few moments to that deep and sonorous voice of old by the side of the Ganga, whose songs are still reverberating along the snow-covered peaks of the Himalayas and the shady forests of the plains of India. The poetry of the Vedas is wholly religious. If the Aryans had any other kind of poetry, it is lost entirely, never to be found again. Never was such an amount of religious poetry composed anywhere in the history of the world. The Vedas themselves provide ample internal evidence that the Aryans of India had evolved a higher order of civilization. They were a band of strong, sturdy people, full of faith in themselves and faith in God. The hard winters of the Asiatic plains, where they must have spent hundreds of years in migrations and settlement. The mighty rivers rushing toward the sea, which they must have encountered in their gradual passage to India. The strong whirlwinds in the northern deserts and the mountain passes and the grand Himalayas, rising tier above tier as if to the very gates of heaven. These overwhelming and sublime spectacles must have contributed to the deep emotions we find in the hymns of the Vedas. With each fresh advance into the plains, new experiences came to those deep minds and were embodied in the Vedas and the Upanishads. Apart from their religious and philosophical importance, the hymns of the Vedas and the Upanishads have a literary value of their own, unsurpassed by any literature of the kind. They are full of life and vigor, purity and simplicity. In later times, some hundreds of years before the Buddha, the Vedas were classified into 4 divisions: the Rik, the Sama, the Yajur, and the Atharva. Each of these divisions, in its turn, was divided into 3 subdivisions: the Samhitas, the Brahmanas, and the Upanishads. The Samhitas are the collection of hymns. The Samhita of the Rig Veda alone contains 1,017 hymns, consisting of 10,580 verses. The Brahmanas are prose directions for reciting the hymns in their proper order in the rituals to obtain the full spiritual effect. The Upanishads, the books which express the philosophy of the Vedas, are the last of these subdivisions. They form the foundation on which rests the grandest of all religious philosophies, the Vedanta Sutras, and the commentaries on them by the great philosopher, sage, and religious reformer Shankaracharya. Sincerity, vigor, and the diligent search after truth characterize the Samhita poetry. The poetry of the Upanishads, by contrast, is full of power, and yet filled with peace, concise yet strongly appealing to the interest and emotions. The former is like the language of some inexperienced youth, powerful in its rashness and exuberance for life, while the latter, the Upanishads, is like that of the fully developed man, controlled and chaste and conscious of his own power. In the Upanishads, there is the inferior devotion through fear. In the Vedanta Sutras and the commentaries, there is that highest devotion that knows no fear, that loves its beloved for love's sake, seeking no other reward, finding in love its own fruition. In the former, God is worshipped because he will reward or punish according to our acts. In the latter, the worshipper has found him within himself as the soul of his soul, as the light of his eye, as the beauty in everything that is beautiful. He vibrates and he does not vibrate. He is far and he is near. He is within all and he is beyond all. Through every hand he works, through every foot he moves, through every eye he sees, through every ear he hears, through every mouth he eats. He pervades everything. The Upanishads were called the forest books because they were studied in the forest. In ancient India, the life of a man was divided into 4 stages: the student life, the family life, the forest life, and the monastic life. The sacrifices and rituals of the Vedas relate to the first 2 stages of when a person was struggling for name and fame and wealth, feeling these were the be-all and end-all of existence. Having fulfilled his duties toward the family and his country, he became more calm and controlled, ready to give his place in the world to others. The bitter and sweet experiences of life had left him wiser and made him thirst for something higher. Then, in Vedic India, he would retire to the forests on the slopes of the Himalayas or by the side of the Ganga to meditate upon the mysteries of life and death. In those days, the forests were kept cleared of wild animals by the kings and princes to give the sages the opportunity of simple living and high thinking. There, surrounded by the singing of birds and the murmur of running water, in the calm of night and dawn, he would come face to face with nature and feel himself part and parcel of it. They dived within themselves until they reached the very root of mind and consciousness through meditation and discovered the answer to the vexing problems of life. They realized their oneness with the infinite being and found material and efficient causes of this universe. From love absolute has all this universe come out. In love infinite does it live after it is born. Towards love unlimited it flows, and into it ultimately enters. Can we wonder why the Upanishads are full of living poetry? This highly poetic mode of living was manifested in the beautiful language of the Aranyakas, the forest books. Yet these books are dim expressions of what they felt. For can language ever equal what is thought and felt? Every expression is a deep degeneration. The spirit can only be revealed in the letter, and the letter killeth. Who can know the feelings behind such language as this? Thou sun, thou hast covered the face of truth by thy golden disk. Do thou uncover it to the vision of one who thirsts after true religion. Progenitor and controller of all, thou sun, withdraw thy rays while I may look at thy blissful form, the true cause of thy power. That form of thine is one with the infinite being, and I too am one with him. is, the theme of the poetry of the Upanishads is the expression of the inexpressible, the knowledge of the unknowable, the capturing within the bounds of speech and thought, that which lies beyond it. The clothing of the infinite is our poor finite language. No wonder the song of the rishis appears in many places to be paradoxical and incomprehensible. Yet the language used, the imageries employed, bring awareness of the infinite. Nature seems to stop and lift up her veil as you sit listening to the wondrous song. And the infinite appears to you in such a real and tangible form that you seem to feel that you can touch it, grasp it, realize it, and make it your own. The song rises higher and higher in cadence. Everything seems to melt before your gaze. The earth disappears. The sun seems to grow dim before the ocean of light. You appear to grow larger and larger until you cover the universe. Your little personality vanishes entirely, and you are one with the ocean of unbounded love. In deep calm and repose, a deep calm and repose settle over you like the spirit moving on the face of the waters. You feel that nothing can disturb you in this world of the senses. Nothing can destroy you. Your existence is beyond the changes of mind and body, beyond death and the grave. You experience the inner meaning of the poet's words. It, the knower, neither is born nor does it die, nor was it born in some past time. It is birthless, eternal, ever existent, old, and yet ever new. It is not killed with the killing of the body. If the slayer thinks he can slay, or the slain that he can be slain, both of them know not the truth. It neither slays nor is it slain. It is finer than the finest atom, greater than the greatest orb, seated deep within the nature of every creature, seeing the greatness and the glory of the self. Through its grace, the self-controlled man goes beyond all sorrow. He is still and yet moves far away. He is at perfect rest and yet goes everywhere. Who can know that effulgent being? Who is greater than the greatest except myself? Void of form, yet existing in all that has form, changeless, yet remaining in all that is changeable. Knowing that self, the Lord, the Great One, the enlightened man, never grieves again. The self cannot be gained by much learning, nor by a keen understanding, not by the reading of many scriptures. He whom the self chooses, by him the self can be gained. To him the self reveals his own essence. The theme of the Upanishads is the absolute, the infinite, and the only poet who was also a seer, and only a poet who is also a seer could reveal this glimpse of the absolute. There, where the self is, the eye cannot reach, nor the speech, nor the mind. We cannot say we know. That neither do we know how to reach it. That to others, let me start again. We cannot say we know that. Neither do we know how to teach that to others. That is beyond what is known and what is unknown. Thus we have heard of it from them of old. That which cannot be disclosed by speech, but which has given rise to speech. That is the self, and not this which thou hast been worshipping. Know that. That which cannot be measured by the mind, but that by which the mind thinks, that is the self. Know that. Those amongst us who think they know the self perfectly, they know it not. They who think they cannot know it, they know it. When they say it's full of contradictions and paradoxes. We can see that. The one peculiarity of the Upanishads is that they rarely try to express the infinite in terms of matter, in terms of bones and muscles. Almost all other poets, whatever they have attempted to bring before the reader's mind, the vastness of the infinite, they have used material pictures and imagery. The sages of the Upanishads have done just the opposite. They attempt to convey infinity. Their attempt to convey infinity has been from another direction altogether. They have done it by denying to it everything that is material. The Vedic singers have made the unique attempt of negating every positive idea from the concept of infinity. That which we see, feel, hear, that which comes under the senses is limited. Deny it. Go beyond it to find the unlimited. That which we think, imagine, conceive, that which comes within the domain of our mind is limited by the mind. Cast it off. Go beyond to find the infinite. That which comes within the realm of time and space, that is limited by them. Stop not there to find the infinite, but go beyond. This is the way of neti neti, not this, of not positing anything of the infinite. That whence speech falls back, baffling the mind, unable to attain, is the ocean of unbounded bliss. Attaining that, the enlightened man goes far beyond all fear. Neither the sun appears bright there, nor the moon, nor the stars. The flash of lightning is as darkness, not to speak of the brightness of fire. That shining, all else shines. All else is bright by its brightness. The similes are so brilliant and striking that they never fail to carry the author's idea to the mind. Notice the use of the great Indian fig tree, the Ficus religiosi, to suggest the oneness of this manifested universe with God, to show that it is established in Him and is part and parcel of Him. This is the eternal fig tree that ever changes its form. Its roots are fixed high, up in the unmanifested absolute, and its branches are down here below. It is pure. It is the deity. It alone is the immortal. All worlds are contained in it. None goes beyond it. It is that self, the deity. This simile was elaborated further in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and may possibly be one of the causes of the reverence paid by the ignorant to the species of the fig tree. In speaking of the beginning of creation as the beginning of a cycle, the expression used is, "in the beginning, when all vibration was hushed." In describing the deity as manifesting himself in different forms in the universe, the poet said, "As the one fire entering the universe manifests itself in this form and that form, and becomes like unto every form of whatever burns, thus the one self within all things manifests itself in this form and that form, and appears like unto every form, and yet exists outside all forms. As the sun, the eye of the whole world is not touched by the imperfections of the eyes, being outside of them, so the self within all remains untouched by the evils and imperfections of the world, being outside of it." The following passage shows the ultimate union of the individual soul with the deity. As the rivers flow into the ocean, become one with it, leaving all separate forms and names behind it. Thus the enlightened, liberated from name and form, approaches the supreme effulgent being. This simile describes the relationship between the human soul and the deity. As from a blazing fire come out thousands of sparks of the same nature as the fire itself, thus, O beloved, one comes out of the different existences from the eternal and the unchangeable being, and enter into him again. Here, a simile is used to show the difference between the controlled and the uncontrolled mind. Know this body to be the chariot in which intelligence is the driver, the mind is the reins, the sense organs the horses, and the soul the lord of the chariot. The horses are running towards the objects of the senses. The mind and the organs of the uncontrolled mind are like wild, unbroken horses in the hand of an inexpert driver, while those of the controlled mind are like the trained horses of a skilled driver. This famous simile from the Mundaka Upanishad describes the progress of the human soul towards the divine and the ultimate union of the two, putting the whole philosophy of man in religion in one single picture and a few concise words. Two birds of beautiful plumage, inseparable, companions of each other, are residing in the same tree. The one is busy tasting the fruits of life, while the other, resplendent in its own glory, cares for none. In the same tree the infinite being sits, immersed in his own glory, while the human soul, lamenting its imperfections. As soon as the lower bird perceives the full glory of the upper one, it approaches, it goes beyond all misery, it finally becomes one with him. I think we're going to stop there and we'll talk about the stories of the Upanishads. Well, we could finish if you'll bear with me for a couple more minutes. The stories of the Upanishads are equally simple and strong in character. Persons and events are described to illustrate the main theme, the religious discourse. Often a character is identified by name and described as the son of another, but nothing more is given of his antecedents or of his fathers. Some events are related about this unknown person. A fragment of his life is given along with a few words full of feeling and deep introspection from his mouth. Our curiosity is aroused, sympathy and love make us go forward and embrace him as a dear friend, when suddenly the vision vanishes and we wake with a start, those ennobling words resounding in our ears. Nothing more can be known of the unknown. His footprints remained, but he himself has winged his course like an eagle to the bosom of the infinite. The Upanishads also give us glimpses of the thought of the people of that time, such as their story of the Talabhakara Upanishad. Once upon a time, the bright ones, Indra and the other gods, became very proud of their victory over the demons. They forgot that there was any power higher than themselves. They imagined themselves to be the lords of the universe, the creators, when suddenly a bright light appeared before their eyes. Dazzled by the radiance, they became unable to see the form of the effulgent being before them. They held a hurried council and sent one of themselves, the fire god, to learn what it was that had dazzled the region with light. The fire god approached and stood before the cone of concentrated light and heard a voice from within the brightness inquire who he was. The fire god answered, "I am Agni, the fire god. I can burn this universe if I like." A few bits of straw were laid before him, and he was told to burn them. He tried his best, but failed, and he returned to his friends, shamefaced, saying, that he knew not who the effulgent being was. The god of the wind was sent next. The voice asked him to blow away those bits of straw. He tried with all his might with an equal lack of success, and came back vanquished. Then the greatest of them all, Indra, went into the presence of the being, but the effulgent one vanished before his eyes. And in his place was a beautiful female figure was seen, who taught him that it is through the power of that effulgent being alone that the gods had conquered. To him alone belongs all glory. He is the storehouse of all power, the ocean of all light and love. Oh. Now, does anyone have any questions about these Upanishads? This is the whole basis of our Vedanta philosophy. And as they say, they're given in similes and poetry, which is beautiful, but this was an awful lot to take in one afternoon. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Good to see you all. Leanne, we're looking forward to you coming out again. Okay. See you.